Marketing for marketers. This is equipment test number 3, unsolicited marketing for Cadillac. If your soul was a Cadillac, what kind of Cadillac would it be? It would be an Escalade. And I don't know what that says about my character. I guess that it's extra roomy and maybe a bit spacious, and it has leather trim and nice stitching and maybe some chrome. You definitely want chrome on your soul. But we're going to get rolling here. There we go. Now we're rolling. That's right. Marketing for marketers. What is a MIC culture and its MIC consequences? It was something we were pondering in the previous videos. You know, a MIC culture, right? Like, what is it? How does it come to be? And it's the idea that, well, you know, you can kind of make everything for everyone and reduce everything down to its lowest common denominators, 240 characters, dumber, dumb, and dumber, right? Like, just keeps going in that direction. And where do you go from there? And I think the answer is that Barbie wants to become a real girl, and she goes to the gynecologist. You know, and you can ask me, why does she do this? I don't know. I just saw the movie. I don't know how our consumer culture lost its mind exactly. Or maybe I do. Hold on. We have to mind the traffic laws here. This guy's going extra slow. Anyway, we were talking about Barbie and the consumer culture. And what happened with our MIC culture is that, well, just take social media, for instance, right? What's social about it? You know, there's it's not people, you know, as humans gathering as social animals. It's like one person being followed by a bunch of people, supposedly called friends who like them, but, you know, they don't know them. You know, it's just people following strangers, strangers following strangers. And in terms of media, it's production. It's just production. Everyone aspires to corporate productive quality, right? Everything is the same. Everything winds up tending to the same kind of clean, modern, you know, soulless aesthetic, let's say. This is in a lot of cases. Or you have something good, and of course, you know, it's not long before everyone flocking to it to take this, you know, to appreciate this organic bit of life, this new bit of culture, this beautiful little plant, and everyone flocks to it and just crushes it. And this is why we can't have nice things in a MIC culture, because it's impossible to take something rare and valuable and give it to everyone. It's just, that's not the 80-20 rule. It doesn't apply in production. It doesn't apply in knowledge. It doesn't apply in wisdom and philosophy. So in terms of where do you go from here, because, you know, once everyone sees through it to the degrees that they have, they see the truth that, you know, everyone is poser by way of the ideal. Everyone is trying to be something they are not. Everyone is trying to afford something they can't. Everyone is trying to pretend to be bigger or better than what they are. In terms of evolution, it's almost like, if you can imagine a moth growing eye spots to scare off a predator, human beings basically grew an ego to be like, hey, I'm not this tiny pathetic worm who's excessively and sickly self-conscious, and therefore, you know, by way of our cultural model, I'm left turning to a market to fulfill all these unfulfilled desires, right? Like Crazy Uncle Ted is kind of right when he points out, like, it's all sublimation, it's all, you know, there's no real power in any of it, yet we are creatures who crave power. We want more power, we want to feel our power augmented, we want to feel good, we love life, we fear death, like all intelligent animals, generally speaking. Although part of our own death drives, you know, kind of encourages us, like, right, we are the ape who went towards the meditudinal banana charger. All the other apes were way too afraid of fire, but we are just into the smoke, you know? So anyway, the MIC culture and the consumer culture came to be because as the Western, let's say diaspora, slowly kind of collapsed into itself, its structures and its size, Because remember, there's no guarantee, guys. There's no guarantee that these ways of life are going to work at scale and over time. And the assumption that they ever would or could, especially in a never changing world, is called insanity and a denial of reality that is flux. Oh, low on fuel. That was the low on fuelometer beeping. You want to show everyone so they can see what it looks like? We are low on fuel. Anyway, where were we at? It's talking about, the consumer culture, right? So as the family unit and the society became increasingly atomized, and people like if people are fortunate to be born with a family and a community, assuming they even have that, if they kind of follow the Western model of kind of going their own separate way, it means the family constantly splinters and fragments. And then if people don't produce as many kids, and then the main roots of the family die off, like your grandparents, it's like, the family unit gets smaller instead of bigger, and then everything is outsourced. A woman doesn't have a man, she has to call the state. A man might call the state. You got problems? Well, maybe there's a doctor, maybe there's a product, maybe there's a service, right? You're losing your mind, you're all alone here. Pay a professional to listen to you. Why do you have to pay a professional? Like, why aren't there friends and family in your life? Like, we're social animals, right? We evolved to have these things for free and for fun. And now it's, everyone wants their fucking dirty dollar. Everyone wants, their little pennies for the littlest advantages. It really is gross, but that's just everyone being wired into their own survival trip. It's ancient, this is Babylon. People thought it was America. It's Babylon. See, that's a pumpkin patch over there. And pretty soon it's going to be a Christmas tree farm. And, the only thing I want for Christmas is a Cadillac. You can just drive it through the wall and park it under the Christmas tree, or just peel it into the pumpkin patch. Anyway, so the needs of the species have been sublimated into a market that neither fosters or creates or inspires the will to power. It all, if anything, it's all a mockery of it. It's all a sham. If it's a bunch of posers pretending to be something they're not, if it's a bunch of people trying to pay money for what they can't be or have, what kind of a culture is that? And it's like, well, it's kind of what we evolved to be. It's plumage. It's a culture of peacocks because we evolved to peacock. That's right. A Cadillac is just one form of plumage, for instance, right? Some high heels is another form of plumage, right? And all these things started with guys, right? Back in the, I think it was about the 1500s, the first high heel boots were made for men. It was for those early Cadillacs because in the 1500s, the Cadillacs, the clutch was much further down, so you needed the high heel boot. So that was the original Cadillac in the 1500s. Followed. Oh, we're slowing. Oh, we got a big bump here. Oh, get out from behind this guy. Anyway, so the mid culture is just our diet that's kind of filled the rifts of having actual human connectivity and relationships. And that's the thing about life is no matter what you want, someone else has it. And life is about relationships anyway, because relationships are everything. It's not just, as the marketers say, oh, it's status. No, it's power. Relationships are power. Within relationships, there's knowledge and secrets, and that's also power, right? And so all this stuff has been watered down and lost. All this stuff has been bought and sold so many times that I don't think Americans can stomach much more of it, right? You can see that our culture has lost hope and faith in a lot of ways, and it's lost hope and faith in itself and hope and faith in the world, and to the point that Barbie wants to become a real girl to help us, I guess. Like, is she our new prophet and savior? Maybe. She's not really. I don't know that she did anything. Let's see what we got here. How about heavy metal? It's your one-way ticket to midnight. I can't help but think of the South Park episode. The one where everyone's huffing cat pee. Great American tradition. Open her up a bit, but not too much, because there might be jackalopes back here, and the wild jackalope will total your car out. You don't even want to see one of these things. So, as you know, Barbie was the second coming. She came to Earth to become a real doll to save us. It didn't work, and we're stuck looking at ourselves, right? The culture can't avoid seeing itself anymore, and it doesn't like what it sees. And you can see this reflected in our media and our social media and everything for years now. And then a lot of the other stuff, it's either a deflection, a distraction. And look, I get it, guys. Like, you should be living your lives. Like, you should be, like, why waste your time on this stuff? If it doesn't concern you, it doesn't concern you. It's a waste of time. People crying about things, spilled blood on the other side of the world. It's like, your love afar is poison at home. You are impotent in the wave. You are impotent in the face of all these waves that are crashing on you, just like most everyone else. And, crying or hating it or all this other stuff does nothing and changes nothing. I'm talking about it from a marketing perspective, because what can you actually work with that's not a lie? And something with some physicality, something with some heft, right? That has weight, that has merit, yet everything about our consumer culture says, these things mean everything, yet they don't. So which is it? Because you can't have it both ways. Either appearance means everything or appearance means nothing, right? And this is where the culture has fallen down. It cannot believe in itself. It's a walking contradiction. Essentially we're in the middle of about 2 centuries of nihilism, where Western culture has been and been headed. It just took a long time for that supernova to catch up. It took a long time for people to catch on. And again, what does this have to do with marketing? And it's like, well, because every lie, every false promise is one more bit of goodwill burnt up. It's one more cynical, nihilistic worm wired into their own little survival trip, who's going to take what they can get and give nothing back. Why? Because they think they're entitled to it. There's a song lyric and it goes something like, oh, here it is right here. What are you going to do when the illusions no longer work? What are you going to do when you can no longer sell the lie and when people can no longer stomach the lie? Yeah, so all you worldly wizards in your ragged finery, what is it that you will do when your power fades? And I'm telling you, what you're going to do is you're going to be food for me. So this is marketing for marketers. Cadillac Unsolicited marketing video number 3. That's right. Ride the Cadillac.